pasta in there. Some more light bulbs in the house, more. You knew that? Don't forget your oil and salt in the don't forget your salt and your oil in the water for the pasta. Macaroni, by the way, should not necessarily be al dente. It can be a little bit overcooked and it's not too bad. Just a different texture to the pasta. Do that. Also, once you actually boil the macaroni stuff, you can leave the water, turn the water off. Once it's actually melted, not melted, but kind of like, how do you say, well, suavizado.
Softened.
Softened. You can turn the heat off, and just the hot water will soften it further, so it doesn't have to be really cooked. A lot of people overcook their pasta. I don't. So, as we're doing this, cooking with the octopus is not really about cooking. It isn't about cooking. It's about the kitchen. But it's about more than that. What do you think, Ma, about the 3 presidential candidates in Mexico? What do you think they should be doing, they shouldn't be doing? What have you heard of them that you like? Tell me that.
What?
The presidential candidates in Mexico? What do you think about them?
Nothing to do with your spaghetti.
I just said, my spaghetti is not about spaghetti, it's about...
Well, if we're going to see the president, then I'll go to the area of my jungle, which is of much more interest to me than...
Well, actually, today we're going to make a salad with a little bit of leaves from your jungle, so yeah, sure. We can do that too.
Ladies and gentlemen...
Wait, don't take the camera away because I want to show this to the people. Chorizo is basically... already spiced, and it's very strong flavored. So when you cook it, you don't necessarily want to put any spices on it because the flavor of the chorizo is overpowering. If anything, you may want to put something that makes it more, takes away a little bit of the spices from it. But here, I'm going to show you how to cook the chorizo for a sauce. You basically take it apart with your hands. A lot of people don't like the little skin on it. I actually love the skin on it. It's made out of the
intestines
of the pig, and it's really just good meat. And never throw the skin away. With your own hands, you kind of like take it apart over a hot stove. God, I'm getting Mexican again. And that gives it a texture. And then, when it starts to really get hot, the oil of the chorizo will cook it. Should I put 1 or 2 more? Leave you one for later? Okay, we're going to leave one for later. In which case, we're going to put a few sausages in with the chorizo.
No, don't do that. You'll ruin the flavor.
Oh, fine. You're the camera guy. Cooking show. So, what's your opinion of the candidates? I was asking you that. Kind of flaked out on me.
Pues Peña Nieto está casado con la gaviota y es el bebecito de la cuna de Atlacomulco. AMLO es un viejo zorro político que ha deambulado por todos los partidos, pero es un hombre de izquierda, sincero, ya viejo, conocido de los intelectuales y muy luchón. Y finalmente la señorita Vázquez Mota, la señora Vázquez Mota, pues considero que de alguna forma tiene una linda trayectoria en lo que representa su trabajo político anterior, pero básicamente está puesta como un títere femenino del PAN porque les falló el títere femenino de Michoacán.
So I'm not going to put a lot of onion. on my dish. I'm just going to put about this much.
Lo cual significa que los tres candidatos le valen una cebolla.
Yeah, that's kind of... Well, speaking about the next election, I just feel it's kind of ridiculous that nobody's mentioned that the biggest problem we have in Mexico right now is the border with Mexico and the United States, and the border dispute, we call it dispute, that the United States has with other people in the world, like the Palestinians and the Syrians and all that. I get... the United States is building a kind of like resistance to its own government because it's figured out that it's the government that wants a perpetual war in the Middle East.
If I would have been cooking, the onion would have been put first.
Okay, sorry about that. Mom is a better cook than I am, by the way. She's far more intelligent. I like my Auntie Paisano, but she's an awesome cook, so listen to her, not to me. Anyways, so was I? There's a war in the Middle East. Mexico is, stepping toe in thing with the United States. While inside the United States, there's a huge resistance to this war that we've seen at Occupy Wall Street and all that shit.
See, that light is not a very good idea because it gets in the camera.
Well, that's what I can come up with, man. I'll put it like this one.
No, don't start playing with the light. Just keep doing your spaghetti because I'm tired of holding the camera.
Yeah. Anyways, so what we're looking at is a civil war in the United States. A lot of the troops in the United States that we're seeing, and where I get my information from. I get my information from the United States. So a lot of the troops that we see in the United States...
What we're getting raw onion with chorizo.
We're going to cut that with a little bit of cream so it doesn't give you any what do you call it? Agruras. So we're looking at a civil war in the United States based on a 10-year war against Afghanistan, where Al-Qaeda is actually an invention of the government. I'm going to put a little bit of butter on this, more like the flavor of it, to give it flavor more than grease. Because the chorizo already has a lot of grease, so it doesn't really need butter, And at the very last, we're going to put the tomato paste, and I found some interesting herbs in the fridge to add to this. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but herbs are good. Herbs are good. This is like mint?
No, epazote.
Epazote. I'm going to put a few.
That is for beans.
For beans? A few leaves will give it
Yeah. It's going to be very strong.
Alright. The epazote today. Back. You know the old saying, too many cooks spoil the kitchen rule? Anyways, this is a little onion, kind of like a tubular onion. I don't know what they call it. ¿Cómo se llaman estos? Cambrai onion. And we don't want there's no more onions. There's just the stems. But the stems are quite delicious, especially when they're fresh. And they give it taste. We're adding taste to taste. And this is my beloved cilantro.
Cilantro y epazote son good together.
Well, they do in this dish. This is an alchemical spaghetti, not grandma's style spaghetti. And we're not talking about spaghetti, we're talking about the election, remember? So I found out that my spaghetti Alfredo is the second best-selling video on Octopus Film, and that particular video was also filmed by my mom, and she put me upside down.
I think only Jojo is going to watch this all the way.
I think only Jojo will watch this all the way. But anyway, We're talking about a war in the Middle East. We're talking about a war in states in Mexico. We're talking about what to do in the election in Mexico, and we're talking about that because the candidates in Mexico are not talking about it. I think that's the point. Okay, ingredients are already mixed in there pretty well. The chorizo is reasonably cooked, but not too cooked. We still want it to get some more oil. Now goes the tomato paste. Tomato paste, of course, is the essence of spaghetti. If you don't have good tomato paste, you don't have spaghetti. Tomato paste you don't want to burn. So what you want to do with the tomato paste is you want to mix it in there really good with the ingredients, and then you want to put it on low fire and let it simmer. Let it simmer. You don't want to burn your tomato paste. You don't want it to evaporate. I'm going to put a top on it. You know, any spaghetti maker that is worth his weight in gold realizes that tomato paste, and then, of course, the other key ingredient, which is garlic. Fortunately for me, I don't have to peel the garlic because I have garlic powder. Garlic powder is not the best solution to the garlic question in spaghetti, but it certainly
will make it very salty.
It doesn't have salt. It's just garlic powder. It doesn't. If it was garlic salt, I wouldn't put that much. But the garlic powder can have a lot. Garlic is spicy. It does give it a tinge. If I had a carrot, it would make this a lot more interesting because it would absorb some of the acidity of the garlic. Okay, take a look at. Show this. See that? Mixed all the ingredients. Now we're going to turn the fire way down.
And you bring the spaghetti to the light.
And I'm going to take. Oops. Yeah. Look at that beautiful thing. Huh? I'm going to turn the fire way down. Just a bare little flame. Put the spaghetti back. We're going to cover it. And now we're going to check our pasta. And like I mentioned before, macaroni does not need to be al dente. It can be a little bit thinner or whatever, and it doesn't really matter. So I should turn the spaghetti off because we're going to do the salad now, and I don't want it to boil. But let's try this. Right now it's al dente. So al dente is good, better than not al dente, but not necessary in macaronis. All right. We're going to drain our pasta. Get the strainer over here. Now, the other theme that has not been mentioned by any of the Mexican candidates so far, or if it's been mentioned, it's been mentioned very fleetingly, is the drug on
very likely you're not being heard because you're very far away from the mic.
The other theme that has not been mentioned by the candidates in Mexico, the other theme that is kind of like not really been spoken about, it's the war on drugs, which is an invention of Richard Nixon back in, 40-something, right? Mom?
I was born in the 40s.
No, drug and war's been going on for a long time. And it has one purpose, and that purpose is to make a lot of money for weapons manufacturers that want to put more police on the streets, more resources behind the control of what? Ordinary people. Because drugs, aspirin, coffee, sugar, are things that ordinary people use all the time. All kinds of drugs. So when you remove from the market one of those drugs, and you give it to the police to control it, there's a lot of money to be made in the mafia. That's my idea anyways. Ouch. Don't burn your fingers on the hot spaghetti or on the hot pans. But the spaghetti, once the grain goes back into the pan, And I got to remind myself that it's not spaghetti, that it's macaroni. Yeah. The war on people is what the war on rent is. It's been going on for a long time. And it's moneyed people that do it, and people without money, without resources, that suffer the consequences of it. And it's really sad. Really terribly sad. Okay, we're going to combine all the elements. Whole trick my Grandma B used to teach me when I used to be in the kitchen with her is if you wash the pan after using it, it's a lot easier to wash. Actually,
Here.
No. All right. So, next step is the salad. We need a salad bowl for that.
Las frutas están en un salad bowl.
Mi sombrero. Let's have this bowl. Give it a rinse. People pissing and moaning about politics and nobody doing nothing about it in this town. They just built a huge fucking highway when we have a congestion problem, and nobody wants when you chat like online.
I just chat.
Chit-chat. You're a wise woman for doing that.
Your point of view is your point of view. I respect your point of view. And I hate to be in the camera, and especially when I'm not cleaned and combed. And you insist on using the camera on me.
You gave me the camera.
I didn't want you to film me, and you keep doing it.
Primero que nada, quiero introducir a mi nuevo amigo, La Luz. Mi show estaba particularmente oscuro. Creo que finalmente hemos resolvido ese problema. Hola, Luz. Bueno, el menú de hoy va a ser macarrón largo con chorizo, ensalada ensalada, y de postre vamos a hacer algo con esta hermosa I forget, this is an English show. Okay, start again, scratch. Cooking with the Octopus today presents long macaroni with chorizo. We're going to make something out of this watermelon. We're going to make a salad, and to top it off, we're going to make a surprise cake. So let's go get a camera person and see what they're doing over here. You guys know this show. I should at first say that we got some toys today, some new merchandise from my cousin Manuel and my tia. It's a television, a wonderful television, and some toys. We must have cleaned up, and they sent us a bunch of books and stuff. And all that stuff will go to sell in the house. Are you guys ready for camera work? Sí. All the toys. Órale, qué buen de juguetes, amigo a mí. Kind of dark in this room.
Ahí va.
Obviously, obviously, my camera crew is kind of busy, so I'm going to have to do this show without them, and that'll put me back into working with one hand, but necessity is the heart of invention. So, first thing we need to do when we're going to make pasta is fill a good solid pan with water. This pan has had DMT, it has had all manner of goodies, but today it's going to have macaroni. The reason of a cooking show, why a cooking show? It's kind of my time to vent against the abuses and misuses of reality by mankind. There's no place more notoriously important in our lives than the kitchen. It's even more important, I would think, than the bathroom, you know, because the kitchen is where all the serious magic goes on. Turning this into a meal, it's an act of magic. It's also a prayer to a lot of people. Cooking, it's a prayer. So the kitchen is a place. I actually do need 2 hands for this job, so I better get my camera person. You guys will have to wait. Yeah. You know, if you grab a pre-made sauce, ketchup, for instance, and you don't know that it comes from tomato and sugar and stuff, you're kind of like not seeing what is. You're kind of not really seeing what is there. You know? On the other hand, if you take the elements and you mix them and you match them and you make them real, then what is what is. And there's no confusions. That's the reason I'm against Big Pharma. That's the reason I think that's the main enemy right now we have, because they take your food, they take your, you know, they take your medicine, and instead of showing you where it comes from, in ancient shamanic tradition, they hide it under a bunch of weird costumes and rituals. And in the end, if you're in the woods, you know that you either eat something good or you eat some poison. And you got to know how to try it. I don't have a camera person. This is annoying. Okay. Well, let's wait.